Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Melissa Majors. I'm blessed to be the creator of Community Keynotes, and join with me today is co-producer Amani Roberts. Hello, Amani.
Hello, Melissa. How are we doing today?
I'm doing really, really good. So, Amani, a lot of people may not know this about you. You see and meet a lot of people given your profession. I mean, you're a professor, you're an author, you're a professional DJ. Yeah. I bet you've met a lot of people who from the outside appear like they have it all, the full package.
You're exactly right. I meet people and they've got it going on the outside, and then you find out on the inside there's a lot more going on than anticipated.
Absolutely. Well, our guest today, Pascale Royal, is one of those folks who from the outside, they have it all. I mean, she's beautiful. She's intellectual. She's got brains. She's got the family. I mean, a great career, 2.5 kids, the American dream. From the outside, it appears as though she has it all. And she does, including major chronic depression. And she is here on our show today to tell her story. So I want to let you know, though, the thing that I've been working with Pascale for the last couple months in preparation for the show. And what I love so much about her is she's not ashamed of what she's facing. And as a matter of fact, she has found a way to turn her condition into her superpower. And so I cannot wait for everyone to hear her story. Now, before she joins the stage, though, I do want to provide a word of caution and a warning. We will discuss suicide on the show today. So if you happen to be watching with children, just please take caution and be aware of this sensitive topic we're going to discuss. And so no matter from where you're watching the show, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, please help me using chat. Welcome to the Community Keynote stage, Pascale Royal.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Melissa and Amani. Hello, everybody from my house in Florida, and thank you so much for tuning in and for taking this short journey with me. I really appreciate your time today, and I hope that my message will, inspire you or motivate you, or perhaps even help you to recognize a piece of yourself that maybe you haven't been able to identify before. So I want to start out and take you on a little memory lane walk with me back to 2015. And there's a picture on the screen, and this is my family. This is my husband's family. This was Christmas morning, December 25th, 2015. I think that we look super cute. We have on matching Disney Star Wars PJs that my sister-in-law organizes every year. Every morning on Christmas, every year we get together as a family. We have brunch. We open presents and help the kids celebrate and play all day. And we stay in our PJs all day. And it's a happy time. It's Christmas time, which of course is happy for everyone, right? So I want to zoom in a little bit, though, to the picture of myself and my husband. We are right in the middle of the family, kind of right in the center, smiling, happy. I think that you would agree with me that my husband is very handsome. I seem to think so, and I think he is too. And I hope you think so too, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into this, right? So I think we should take a step back. And I want to zoom in on me, right? I look happy. I look like anybody would look on Christmas morning with their family and their kids. But let's go back about a week. So on December 18th, 2015, after barely sleeping the night before, I had a 3-month-old at that time. I had a 4-year-old son and a 3-month-old son. So that night before, I had barely slept. I wasn't feeling very well. I was coming down with a cold. The baby was going through a growth spurt and was up every 2 hours. I was nursing him through the night. That morning was much like many mornings in the months preceding it, but it was also very, very different. It was the perfect storm of all of my triggers. I was sleep deprived and exhausted and overwhelmed as a new mom of 2, second guessing a lot of things that I had going on. I was suffering from a pretty severe case of postpartum depression, layered on top of a longstanding history of depression. And there were also some issues that I had with my family, some ongoing drama that was happening, as every family experiences ongoing drama. That morning, however, there were some conversations and words exchanged that ended up being the final trigger that something in my brain just snapped. I remember getting up that morning, handing my son to my husband, didn't really say too much. I went into the bathroom, changed my clothes, brushed my teeth. I remember grabbing my medications, a couple of bottles of antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication that I had, sleeping pills that I had kind of hoarded over the preceding few years that I also had. I remember walking out to the kitchen, grabbing a couple bottles of water, and I remember telling my husband, I'm gonna go run to the grocery store and pick up Christmas cards for my preschool age son's children, his teachers. Right, it was the last day of school before Christmas break, so I was gonna go run and pick up Christmas cards is what I told him. I got into the car and it was a pretty warm day. It's South Florida in December. Anybody who's been to Florida in December knows it's still pretty warm. Our Christmases tend to be very warm. So it was a warm day, kind of sunny. I got in my car. I remember driving to the parking lot of the community playground and park that we have in the development that I live in. I remember parking there. And from here, everything gets very, very fuzzy. I don't remember any sounds. I don't remember hearing anything. I remember the only thing that I heard was an ongoing tone in my mind, the tone of like an emergency broadcast tone when on television, where it's like that, doo, the test of the emergency broadcast system. That, even as I'm talking to you now, that's what I remember hearing, and that's what I can hear in my head. I then proceeded to ingest almost all of the pills that I brought with me. I remember that feeling of eliminating the problem, right? There was a voice inside my head that kept telling me all of these problems that you have, all of the things that you're feeling, that overwhelmment, all the issues your family is having, everything that's going on, the things you can't solve and figure out for your newborn and for your child. These are all problems that it's you. It was me. That voice was saying, it's you. Just eliminate the problem and everything will be fine. And so I remember thinking, I'm just going to eliminate the problem. And I was the problem. I swallowed most of those pills. I texted one of my best friends and my cousin, who's like a sister to me. I apparently texted them, and whatever I said in that message, because I don't remember it, whatever I said in that message was enough to pique their concern. They reached out. I think they might have even had a conversation with me on the phone. I don't remember it. They reached out to my husband and told them, we think Pascale needs help. He was able to find me in that park because I was passed out. He was able to find me and take me to an emergency room to get help. Sorry, you guys, I just closed the screen on my notes. So I woke up in the emergency room of a local hospital. It's really, really fuzzy. I remember seeing my husband's face and he looked really scared. I remember being really sad that I was awake and just scared of what would come next. I spent the night in that emergency room, and early the next morning, they transferred me to a psychiatric facility, which was not too far from my house. And I would proceed to spend the next 2 days there. It was really scary in that facility. It was very cold. And I was in like a hospital gown and a pair of socks for a day before my husband was able to get actual clothing to me. It was a co-ed facility, so there were men and women in this unit. There were no locks on any of the doors, not the bedroom door that I shared with another patient, not the bathroom doors, the shower doors. There were no locks, therefore there was no real privacy. There were patients there in various degrees of psychiatric distress. Some would have really manic episodes in the night that were extremely scary. And so I don't think I really slept for the 2 days that I was there. And the hardest thing too is that I was trying to reckon with what I had done, right? I couldn't really remember, but I knew obviously that I had tried to take my own life. And I was alternatively relieved that I hadn't taken it, but also really just frustrated that I hadn't taken it, which was a really difficult battle that was going on in my mind. I can tell you also that psychiatric facilities in this country, in the state of Florida, are not really equipped to heal people. My experience was not really one of healing. My experience was, what do I need to do to convince them that I am of sound enough mind to go home? And my husband and I spent the next couple of days trying to work with doctors and therapists and social workers on assuring them that I would be okay to be discharged and not harm myself again. So I want to just say that one of the lessons that I learned through that is that the human body has an incredible desire to live. And that if you are a person that has depression, or like in my case, major chronic depression, depression is a big liar. It's a very loud voice in your head that lies to you, and in a lot of raging thoughts that are just kind of run out of control, lies to try to tell you that you're not worth it, that you're not enough, that your life doesn't matter. It's a huge lie, but your body intrinsically wants to live. My body wanted to live. My brain kicked in to action and sent those text messages out when I wasn't even lucid enough to remember doing that. I was officially diagnosed with major chronic depression shortly after that experience. I had been diagnosed with depression before then, for about 5 or 6 years before then. But after that episode, we realized it was major chronic depression that I was suffering. And that huge lying voice of depression was trying to tell me that I should not be here. And, I think that what's important to understand is that I am a wife, I'm a daughter, I am a mom to 2 small kids. I am a professional that has had a high performing, demanding career in high tech for the last 15 years. I'm all these things, and I am also sick. I am also a person that has major chronic depression. I am able to manage it through medication, through talk therapy, and through really being introspective about finding the ways to care for myself when I need to. But, it's something that I have had to come to terms with, to understand that this will be the course of my life for the rest of my life. I have a chemical imbalance. That is why medication works for me. I have a chemical imbalance in my brain that has triggered this depression and keeps it running. I also have a family history of mental illness that I'm working against. It's hard to talk about it. It's hard to talk about mental illness and about being sick because there's such a stigma. There's such a stigma associated with anyone with mental illness, particularly depression. People just think you're sad or you'll get over it or whatever. I think that stigma is especially profound in the Black community. And in my experience, I am a first-generation American, Haitian American. My parents are born and raised in Haiti. Haitian culture, and I think other Caribbean cultures, don't like to talk about this. Haitian culture is, you're sad, light a candle, go to church, pray to baby Jesus, pray to St. Jude, pray to the Virgin Mary, and you should be fine. Just power through it, get on with it, and you'll be fine. So I went most of my 20s undiagnosed with this depression. So if you are struggling right now, if you feel like I have been sad or carried this sadness for a really long time, or I can't seem to just think or pray my way out of this. I can't seem to make all the pieces fit. Everything feels really overwhelming. My body hurts. My teeth hurt. I have headaches. Whatever that is, if that is something that you're going through, I implore you, go talk to your doctor, get help, seek help, and talk to them and say, I think that I might have depression. I am here for you. You are loved. You are needed. You are so wanted. Your life has value. And I am here for you and understand. So if no one else is, you can always reach out to me. Depression, again, I talked about it being that lying voice. The thoughts are so strong. They're so powerful. They're so overwhelming. So if this is your experience, I want you to know that you are not alone in this, that it is an actual sickness, and that there is help. You can get that help. I want to paint the picture for you like this. Right now, we're all going through this COVID-19 pandemic. And I had a friend tell me a good kind of picture that they painted was that a lot of people like to say oftentimes that we're all in the same boat, right? The reality is we're not in the same boat. We're all in the same storm, but we are in very different boats. I have a huge phobia of open water. Anybody who knows me knows that I am scared to death of open water, which is actually quite hysterical being that I live in South Florida. But I know how to swim. I can swim in swimming pools, but I am afraid of open water. And to me, drowning is like the most horrible way to die. And so as I think about my chronic depression, my major depression over the years, I liken it to being perpetually caught in like a big storm out at sea. I'm lost at sea in this raging storm. I can see the horizon, right? I can see land, but to try to get there, I'm not sure that I can. Some days, the boat that I'm in is amazing. It's a yacht. It's a speedboat. It's sleek. It's beautiful. It is fast and it is powered on and it is so strong. And I feel myself really making my way to the shore and I can almost get there. Then there are days where maybe I'm in a rowboat and it takes a lot of power, a lot of exertion to try to get through the day. I can see again that horizon, but it is taking everything in me to try to get there. On days like December 18th, 2015, I am in that storm and I am barely hanging on to a 2x4 plank of wood in the water. The water and the storm is raging around me, but if I look underneath the water, it's dark and it's calm, and I just know that it'll be silent. And that big lying voice of depression is in my head, just screaming at me to let go, and it'll all be okay. But then there's that little voice that just says, don't do it. You matter. You are worth it. You need to hang on, and someone is going to come here to help you. The process of rebuilding after a day like December 18th, 2015 is enormous. It's really hard. I have in many moments felt like my brain is not my own. My thoughts are not my own. I have to reclaim my sense of self-worth. I have to reclaim my confidence. I have to reclaim my life back. And it's so hard. And, you know, it's imagine every day, I'm sure for some of you, the alarm goes off in the morning, you get up, you go brush your teeth, you go, have your coffee, you get your day started, and you just go about your day. You don't really even give it much thought. For me, many, many days, in fact, most days, when my alarm goes off in the morning, I have to open my eyes and I say, thank you to God. Then I have to put my feet on the ground, on the floor, and I'm like, okay, you got this. Then I get up and I go in the bathroom and I have to say, okay, brush your teeth, wash your face, like get yourself ready, put on a face, put on a smile. And I'm like, okay, you did that. Now go downstairs. That little voice is trying to keep encouraging me through the screaming of the lying depression. That little voice is like, you got this. Go get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself in front of your computer. You can do it. And every hour, I just have to keep trying to seek out that voice to tell me to keep going. Imagine the amount of strength that it requires to get through each day that way. So, you know, I just want you to think about it in that way, that for a lot of people who are sick, it's really difficult. On December 18th, 2015, when I sent those messages to my friend and to my cousin, their lives changed forever as well. Their lives, because I hadn't told anybody, I had not been honest with even the people closest to me in my life. I had not been honest about my depression. I had not fully disclosed how much I was suffering. And so for them to receive a text message like that from me was a huge shock. And to their credit, and something that I will forever be grateful for, is that they answered the call. They sent help. They, you know, told my husband, go find her. They were with me. So if you're ever in that situation, I want you to know that you need to be the one. I want you to be the one to save that life. Ask them, you know, the uncomfortable question. Ask that person, do you think you're going to hurt yourself? Stay with them, keep them safe, keep them connected, and follow up. My girlfriend and my best friend have followed up with me every step of this journey, and I am so grateful to them. And so I say to you, if you are ever that person, just know that the journey with a friend or a loved one with depression is long, and they need you so much. And I know that if you love them, you will be there for them in the way that my friends were. The other thing that I wanted to convey is that, again, this is a sickness. So when I talk about, you know, having mental illness, oftentimes when people talk about having high blood pressure or diabetes or some other chronic physical illness or ailment, people generally are like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Have you gone to the doctor? Do you take medicine? Have you regulated your blood sugars? Like what's going on? But when you talk about mental illness, all of a sudden people are like, oh, and they want to gingerly kind of dance around you. What I want to leave you with, if I can leave you with anything today, is that I have major chronic depression. I am sick. You would not tell me, if I told you I had high blood pressure, you wouldn't tell me to just go to church and you can pray it away. You know, church and my faith is a huge part of my life. It's part of what helps me in terms of support. But my sickness requires more. It requires medication and things like that. So what I would like to say is it's time to change the narrative about people with chronic depression and mental illness. Change the narrative from thinking about people like me as being weak, as being less than, as maybe being not as smart, and start to think about us the way that I think about myself, and that is that I am a warrior. It requires warrior superpower to get up every day and to beat down that voice that's screaming to tell me I'm not enough, and to say, you know what? Actually, I am. I am enough. I matter. My life matters. So change how you think about people with depression, because we are warriors, okay? So I will leave you with this. My father passed away 7 years ago, but I'm the youngest of three. And when I was born, my father would tell me all the time that my cry sounded like the birds singing. And so his nickname for me as a baby that stuck with me my entire life was Little Bird. And he was my big bird. And when I think about my journey with chronic depression, this bird was caged. I was in a cage that confined me into this space and would not allow me to really live my life to the fullest that I possibly could. But now, even just sharing this story, having this dialogue, creating the space for us to engage in this way and for you to see me differently, it's like the doors of that cage has just been kicked open and I am finally free. And so my desire for you, if you are suffering or if you know somebody who is, I desire so much for you too to be set free. And I hope that what I shared with you today is helpful in some way. So thank you.
So Melissa, you're on mute. You're on mute. So unmute yourself and then start over again and say everything you're going to say from the beginning.
What I was saying, Pascale, is you're a warrior. You absolutely are a warrior. I'm so proud of you. And you wanted to change the narrative around this. You just did it, honey. You just did it. Fantastic job. You just saved some lives. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, that takes a lot of courage. Thank you. And for those of you who are watching, make sure you tell Pascale how much you appreciate her on chat, whether you're watching the live or the replay. Now, on every episode of Community Keynotes, we raise money for a charity. Each speaker chooses a cause. And today, Pascale has chosen the National Suicide Hotline. So right now, every penny counts. Every penny can go towards saving lives. Please, we ask that you would text your gift. You can scan the QR code that's in front of you, or you can click and go to givebutter.com/community keynotes. Again, every penny counts. We also, there's another way that you can not only wear Pascale's story in your heart, you can wear it on your sleeve as well, because we have created a whole line of merchandise based and inspired on Pascale's story. So to purchase your own items, please just visit storystore.us, and 10% of those proceeds will benefit the National Suicide Hotline. With that, I would like to welcome the other guests back to the stage. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Pascale, just tremendous job. Well done. I'm so proud of you. I just met you like a couple weeks ago. I'm so proud of you. So we're just happy to share some time with you. We have some questions, a quick Q&A session. So I think that can help even give people even further information. So you mentioned this in your speech, and I wanted to ask you, what were the warning signs or symptoms that you experienced when you were in your 20s?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Imani. In my 20s, I definitely started to experience a lot of out of the ordinary insecurities, a lot of periods of immense sadness and uncertainty, thoughts that were very overwhelming for me, and thoughts that really tended to slide into suicidal ideation. So those were the triggers, and I never sought any kind of professional help for it. It was just, I walked around in a constant fog and always just felt like, I guess the way people call it nowadays is an imposter, right? I felt like an imposter in my own life. I felt sad, even in the times where I was smiling and friendly with everybody and being, the Pascale that everybody thought that I was suffering inside, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I was too embarrassed and too ashamed to seek help.
Yeah. I really love the boat analogy you spoke about during your speech. I know that depression can give you many peaks and many valleys. How do you get through the valleys?
Now it's come to a point where I have to acknowledge that I'm in a valley. I think for a long time I would ignore it. I have to acknowledge when I am stressed to my maximum capacity, if I'm overly tired, if I don't feel well, if I have a lot of pressures at work or a lot of things happening with my family, I have to acknowledge, okay, this is a lot. Often I feel really tired, really, really tired. So I have to acknowledge it. And whether that's I take a day off or two from work, or if I just sometimes take a hot shower and decompress, have an extra glass of wine at the end of the night. I think that acknowledging that it's happening is the way that I get through it, because I used to try to ignore it and get through it, and that led to some really terrible things. So it's that acknowledgement.
Okay. I want to bring in our next kind of guest audience member, Inglis. I wanted to know from you, how do you remain there for Pascale on a daily basis?
Well, I'm not sure I do a great job, but she probably thinks I'm a bit of a nag, because I'm always asking her how she's doing on her self-care. She's really good at putting everyone ahead of her. So that's probably the biggest way. I think, Pascale, I'm always a phone call away, but I will always remind you of that. And yeah, I'm going to keep bugging you on how you're taking care of yourself.
Thank you. Pascale, I'm curious, I know many people are curious, how has your experience shaped the way you are going to raise your children?
That is such a great question. And I've thought about this, and we're very open. I'm very open and honest with my boys. My boys now are, I have one son who has a birthday in a couple weeks. He's going to be 9 years old. And my youngest son will be 5 next month. With my 9-year-old, we speak very openly when mommy has to go to the therapist. What is therapy? It's where I go and there's a professional. I talk to them about my problems and they help me figure out the best ways to cope. They know that I take medication to help mommy's brain feel better and to help me feel better. There's no judgment with it. I have actually introduced my son, my 9-year-old, to talk therapy as well, because he's been struggling through the quarantine with COVID, not being able to see his friends, school shutting down, just all the things that our lives are challenged with right now. I wanted him to know that he had a safe place and that he could also talk to someone to help him cope. So it has changed the way that I'm going to raise my kids, in that we are very open and honest that this is just a normal part of some people's journeys. It just happens to be a part of mommy's journey, and that they know that if they can always talk to me, and if they don't feel comfortable, they can find people that they can talk to. So I think that that's one of the things that I didn't have growing up. My parents were amazing, so nothing negative to my parents. They were only human, right? And they were dealing with this the best way that they could. So that's one of the ways that I want to be different with my boys.
Great. If you were to go back and speak to 18-year-old Pascale and give her advice based on what you know now and what you've experienced so far in life, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would definitely tell my younger self, go talk to your doctor. Go talk to someone and tell them what you're feeling, because you don't need to live this way. There is so much more to life. You don't need to live this way. Go talk to someone and get help. I would definitely have probably had a very different journey, right? And probably would have saved a lot of time that I wasted. That depression really just robbed me of my 20s especially. And I would want 18-year-old me to know that it doesn't have to be that way.
Good. So Inglis, I want to ask you, what do you admire the most about Pascale?
It's a long list, Amani. But Melissa already stole it from me. As she proved so beautifully today, she's just so courageous. But it's not just this conversation. For everyone that knows her, she stands up for everything that she believes in. And it's incredibly powerful. And I know everyone experienced it today. It's so inspiring. So thank you, Pascale.
It is. I think one of our final questions will be, like, for people who want like a takeaway from you, what is the daily routine that kind of helps keep you moving forward so you can stay, afloat on that boat and not be about to fall off of that one wooden plank that you're holding on to?
Yeah, well, life is crazy right now, right? I think everyone can agree that this is just, even if you've never had depression in your life, what we're all going through as a global community right now is difficult. So for me, it is about pacing myself through the day. It is about, moderate exercise. It is about copious amounts of caffeine. Sorry, but coffee really helps me and makes me very happy. My morning coffee is like just life's blood. I don't know.
Amen.
I mean, morning coffee to me is just kind of everything. And finding, really seeking out and finding the little moments of joy, like the little funny things that happen during the course. For me, I like to wear t-shirts every day. So like I made a joke out of my t-shirt of the day, or, when my kids interrupt me on work calls, I mean, all you can really kind of do is laugh about it. Or, when my husband is exhausted after cooking dinner, like one night during the week, I just laugh about it because, he's trying, right? He's trying. So I think it's finding the moments of joy. Every day, my little one likes to go outside and get fresh air because we just had gotten into this routine of going and sitting on the front step to get fresh air every day. So that's become a moment of joy. And so I encourage you through this time to get help if you need it, and find the moments of joy that can help you get through this.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Pascale, for sharing your story. We're very proud of you. I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, who's going to take us home, but just well done. We're very proud of you.
Absolutely, Pascale. Thank you so much. And for all the viewers, thank you for tuning in today. And if you are noticing some of those same triggers that Pascale mentioned in her stories, or you notice them in someone else, get help. Again, this show benefits the National Suicide Hotline. They have lots of resources that can help you. Reach out to them online, call them, get the help that you need. So next week, we have another great episode featuring Deb Stanley, who has an amazing stories of people who are uniquely abled and how best to connect with their experience. And so she has a really, really incredible story that you will hear next week on August 20th, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. So please make sure that you tune in next week, and we'll see you then.